John Wycliffe was the most famous priest of his day. His learning was immense. He had been a leading scholar at Oxford and a chaplain to the King of England. More to the point, he spoke out boldly against the errors of the popes, the organizational hierarchy of the Roman Church, and the corruption of the clergy in his day. He argued for a return to the Scriptures. If the people in England were to know the truth, Wycliffe reasoned that they must have the Word of God in their own language. Under his direction, the Bible was translated into English for the very first time. Copies of Wycliffe's Bible were repeatedly condemned and burned by the Catholic Church authorities. The Church of Rome hated Wycliffe with such ferocity that 44 years after his death, they dug up his body, smashed it to pieces, burned his remains, and threw the ashes into the swift river. What were his crimes? Preaching the Bible? Translating the Bible into English? Jan Hus, aka John Huss, one of Wycliffe's followers, actively promoted Wycliffe's ideas. So what did the Catholic Church do? They burned him at the stake in 1415. And to make matters even worse, they used Wycliffe's Bibles as kindling for the fire. John Wycliffe led a movement that became known as the Lollard movement, or the Lollards. The Lollards opposed many practices of the Catholic Church. So what did the Catholic Church do? They burned a couple of the Lollard leaders. They burned John Babby while he was tied up in a barrel in 1410. And they hung John Oldcastle over a fire and burned him to death in 1417. William Tyndale completed a translation of the New Testament from Greek to English in 1525, which the Catholic Church in England tried their best to confiscate and burn. After issuing a revised edition in 1535, he was arrested, spent over a year in jail, and was then strangled and burned at the stake in 1536. It is estimated today that some 90% of the New Testament in the 1611 King James Bible is the work of William Tyndale. Tyndale was burned at the stake for having a non-Catholic view of the Bible. Seeing all these burned bodies, a question comes to mind. Why would anyone today want to be associated with a church that used to commonly burn Christians alive?